Today we are talking about stuff.
Like chocolate.
Everything.
It's really yummy.
Okay, so when I first started learning about all of this spirituality and everything like that, I was not at all ready for any of it.
Do you have a prejudgment?
Well, the post-judgment now, but I see it. I see that. I mean, but doing that, I was wanting to test the person who was challenging me the most, which was Joaquin. So basically, looking at Joaquin, I said, oh, you think you're so spiritual? Well, why do you have $600 shoes? Why are you wearing like Gucci? What is everything so expensive for? Like, where's the like giving stuff up and like letting go of stuff and everything like that? So this is what I wanted to talk about with stuff was understanding the letting go of stuff, but still having it in your life.
Or maybe letting go of the concept of the stuff being worth so much, because that's a mental worth.
It's if you have value on something worth $1, it is holding on. It's stuck in your mind more than something that's worth $1 million that you don't care about or have no attachment to. So it's not having or not having stuff in your life or giving stuff up. It's letting go of the attachment of it. It's letting go of the stuff, whether or not it's there or not doesn't matter.
And why is this? Because if someone makes the minimum, to them going to let's say a really cheap store, spending $10 more is really like, it's not different than just someone going to a very expensive store and spending $1,000 more.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not about the value. The value doesn't come from the money itself. It comes from the value, the mental value that we give to things.
Yes. And how much stuff you're going to keep piling into your mind. Like, it's not about being around you. It's about if this thing is around you, is it in your head too?
And this is not a defending position to a lot of monks that actually wear brand names out there. This is more like an understanding. In the end, why do they wear it? Because they want to be photographed and appear on People magazine and OK magazine or whatever those magazines exist and whatever their name are. I don't think that's their goal. To them, they see it objectively. If a rich person came and gave them a Louis Vuitton bag and they're just wearing it like it's just a bag, then they're just wearing it as a bag.
Exactly. So in your progress, it's not about cutting things out of your life or giving things up or like purposely not doing things, because a lot of times that very thought becomes the attachment. As far as when you're pushing things away, they're going to push back, but you're still holding on to them while you're pushing. So it's like, I can't eat meat, I can't have sex, I can't do all this stuff. A lot of times you're not letting go of it. You're just holding on stronger, but holding it away from you, like, don't come near me. And it's this bigger thing that's
and you're
so
becoming
attached
very
into
judgmental.
And especially the judgment for other people. And you don't necessarily know if someone spiritual is attached to it or not or whatever else. So a big thing is not to get involved with that. If you want to ask them, you can, do you care about that bag or whatever else? But don't do it from a judgmental place of it having meaning, because you don't know if it does or not.
But also, the very fact that you're asking, do you care about that bag? It means that you care a lot more than the person that is wearing the bag.
Possibly. You might. I know.
Because otherwise, why would you ask?
Yeah, the reason that you'd ask is to at least settle your thoughts that keep wondering, I guess.
But what are you going to do with that info? Because you're working on your own.
You're going to let that go. You're going to say, okay.
Okay.
You get the answer, yes, I'm attached to it, or no, I'm not attached to it. And you say, oh, okay. And then you move on.
Because what you have to remember,
my mind particularly can't always move on until it has an answer.
Which is perfectly fine,
Sometimes
because that's how you operate.
Oh yeah, and it's completely fine to ask people questions from a loving place. But just assuming that it's judgmental, like just judging and assuming that they're doing it for these wrong reasons, is kind of the holier than thou silliness that people go through in spirituality.
If you make $50 a week and you go and buy something for $30 that you do not need, of course you are overspending the money. And at that very moment, you're being too excessive. And it's the same if you only make $5,000 a week and your rent is $30,000 and you're spending $4,000 in something that you don't need. It doesn't matter how much you spend. What matters is your intent to spend the money on a specific stuff. So basically, stuff is stuff. Stuff doesn't make you look or be rich. Stuff doesn't make you being spiritual. And that's the very same reason why the fact that you have...
I know. You could, like, you see the people that are just getting into it that purposely dress that way.
Shave their head.
Oh, yeah. They shave their head. They wear the mala. They wear everything.
Like patchouli.
And they start to be like, oh, I'm higher than whatever else. And it's this other attachment again.
And this is a big ego.
It's another attachment. It's an ego trip. Exactly.
It's a big ego with this custom of like, I'm better than you. But then these big people with their patchouli essence and their lavender smells and their funky, dirty hair are judging you. I'm judging right now. But this is an example.
The early ones, a lot of the time, are using it as a way to be better and higher and judging.
But they don't know that they're masking their own ego.
They're
realize, decorating it.
That they're actually creating this bigger thing in themselves that they're going to have a much harder time to move past until they understand it.
So what's the goal? The goal is to navigate through society.
Yeah, well, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to own anything. You can or you cannot. It doesn't matter.
Don't attach to it.
The attachment's what matters, exactly. Like, if you need all of that to feel holy, then I'm sorry, but you shouldn't need it. Like, you can literally have everything or have nothing and be in the same or a different place. It doesn't matter. Like, it's all just where you are in your head, which is why you can go live in a cave in India. But you don't have to. You can also be in your house and just sit there in the middle of a busy street or wherever else you are and still be in the same place because you're not doing anything.
And which will make you more interested in the case is that you have a lot of monks that they are very ill and they're about to die. And to them, what's more valuable at the moment is their life. And this is very much their own very very expensive stuff.
Oh yeah, the last thing is your body.
And they attach to it and they're like,
oh, of course, it's the hardest thing to get rid of.
I don't want to die. And then and you might think like, well, what does it have to do with Gucci? And it's
because you're still
body.
Your box.
Exactly.
Looking back to our last one, you're still your box.
You're still your box, and that you are attaching to your little box.
You came here
and you don't want to let it go.
Yeah.
But in the main essence, you're still attaching to something that is not real, and it doesn't make you or not make you. You're just attaching to something that is completely delusional.
Well, yeah, the point is the body's not you. The Gucci's not you. All of the stuff that's expensive or not is not you.
You probably don't know. Monks traditionally have nothing else but a begging bowl.
Yes.
And
it could be made of a skull.
In Asian countries, they carry this bowl in India and they go through little towns and ask for food because that's the way that they ground themselves and it's a reminder that they need other people to continue, and that's just a reminder.
Yes.
There's this little tale about this monk that was in this big kingdom visiting a prince, and someone stole his begging bowl, and the same day the prince lost something else. The prince didn't make a big deal out of it, but the monk made a big deal out of losing his begging bowl. And it is just to show you. You might think, well, yeah, but the prince have all these things. But the bottom line is that you can lose something that you are so attached to and be so taken by it. And this is because you associate with the very thing. You are no longer yourself. You become that thing. And in this case,
exactly,
the monk became the begging bowl.
The part of him was taken or lost.
Yeah. So if you are like out there wearing a mala and then you have your mala hanging out and you lose it and you start crying, just remember, Zen Buddhism say if your house is cold and your Buddha is made out of wood, throw it in the fire, which means just be objective.
Yes.
Use things as things.
Yeah.
And do not forget that you are a loving person, a kind person, and the only thing that you can actually provide and associate with is your own kindness and your own peace, and that's the only thing you can actually give. Your big smile is the only thing that you can give to other people. Other than that, you have nothing else to give.
Yeah, and I was talking during the break about people who have a dog and they're walking their dog and somebody comes along and is like, what a beautiful dog. And the person says, oh, thank you. And I'm like, you're not the dog. Like, what did you do?
To be
You're
the
just
dog.
taking the dog's compliment? But we get this sense of pride out of people liking our objects, our things, our dog, our whatever, gold watch. This thing, like, we identify ourselves with it, and we think, like, the value is our value now, when really nothing's changed. There's no value in the watch. The value in the dog is the time you spend with the dog and that what you get out of that. It's not about, like, the attractiveness of it or someone else liking it.
And how many likes you get on Instagram or Facebook
Yes,
or
exactly.
TikTok. It's nothing else but that. The appreciation for what you have is nothing else than that. It is appreciation for what you have, not what you are. The appreciation of what you are can only be validated with you, through you, when you, within you. Anybody else can come and say, well, you're nothing but. And if you take it, you just gave them that validation. And the only validation has to come within you. And if you take everybody's validation, then you're going to be totally lost completely all the time.
Well, one practice for me is actually to take validation that's not mine, just to point out the absurdity of it. Where someone says, oh, what a beautiful day. And I'm like, oh, thank you. It's the same idea, but for some reason you can tell that it doesn't make any sense. But at the same time, if I walk up to you, I'm like, wow, those are nice shoes. You're like, thank you. And I'm like, oh, did you make the shoes?
No.
Exactly. And I didn't make the day, but I can steal the credit for it, just like you do.
But a lot of the times you can sound arrogant to a lot of people, not to people, me at least. When you say, oh, those are cool shoes. Aren't they? You just you step back and you're both appreciating the shoes. And it's no longer like, I am the shoes, hence I have to say thank you. And like it's okay to say, oh, thank you as a response, but to actually feel like the pride or something that comes out of it is not, it's not sensical to me. Or, I mean, as from a spiritual perspective, it's like, oh, I mean, I like them too, that's why I'm wearing them. Which also reminds me of
but I'm not wearing them for people to notice them either, though, because I'm not looking for that.
Unless you are. And, exactly. And when you are, then you're
it's like I only got these shoes so that somebody could tell me they look nice.
And if you say that, and if you actually practice that, you kind of liberate yourself.
Yeah.
Because you're no longer
doing it.
Yeah.
Own it.
And you're no longer hiding. And there is a sense of liberation when you say, I am this.
I feel like I want to have the newest phone so I can be like whatever at the top of the social order. No, that's why you're doing it. Like, don't just be like, oh yeah, I got the new phone or whatever.
Which is a lot of another practice. Just acknowledge what you really, really feel.
Yeah,
so
you
don't have to lie. Because if someone tells you, oh, you're having that phone just to be better, you're like, no. And then you get bothered when someone tells you, it's because you're hiding the real reason why.
Yeah. Like,
which takes me to another...
Well, we get so upset about the truth, is what we were saying earlier. The truth is always what offends us the most, because you're like, oh, no, I'm not, but you're offended because you are.
Exactly.
But why are you hiding it?
But
because people are going to think differently of you.
So there is this quote, and I can't remember if it's really part of the Dhammapada.
Own it.
This says, as a solid rock, don't shake by praise or shame. And what this exactly means is that if someone comes and tells you, you're ugly, own it. Say, okay, cool. You're beautiful. Don't be like, oh my God, he said I'm beautiful. Just own it. I mean, when your value depends on what other people are judging you as.
They're not telling you that you're ugly. They're not telling you that you're beautiful. No. They're saying their opinion, and you're like, here's my opinion. You can say, thank you. Or you can just say, uh-huh.
So as a solid rock, you
don't have to take in a meaning out of it. It's more, people are offering you this gift of their opinion.
And you decide to take it or not.
Take it or not.
And if you
as
take
what it is.
and if you take it, you're already associated with the
Yeah.
judgment.
Well, that's my point. You can take it and say thank you without actually taking I'm ugly or I'm beautiful. It's more just like, oh, this is that person's belief.
So when someone
nice
calls
of
you
them,
you're
or
beautiful
not.
and you say thank you, is you wearing Gucci shoes and saying
Yeah.
those shoes are nice, or you're wearing those shoes because they're nice.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, exactly
But
the
it's
same
still
thing.
appropriate to say thank you even if you're not taking that pride out of it. Like, oh, really? You like it? Oh my gosh, that's so great. I can't
And
believe
you
it.
lose
Oh,
sleep over
I spent
it.
so much money on it. Oh. I know, it's like, thank
Which
you.
is possible.
You can lose
because
sleep
you're
over
buying
someone not
likes.
complimenting your shoes. I wore these shoes for 3 days and nobody said anything about it. Which
Then
is the
you're-
haircut thing, yeah.
then
I
you're
got
wearing
this
it for the
haircut
wrong
2 days
reason.
ago. You didn't notice anything different about me?
Well, they probably didn't do a good job.
I know, right? Exactly. I said
Or
it
probably
myself.
you did
I
it
noticed.
yourself.
Yeah, I know.
But
But it's the silliness of getting attached with it. That's the real point of everything. Like you can have everything and have no don't have any value or hold on to it, or you could have very little, and it could mean everything to you, and you could be so attached and stuck to it. So if you see someone, you're not going to necessarily know whether or not they're attached or not, especially in a spiritual setting. But it doesn't matter. It's not up to you to care. That's the point.
so
I think
stuff
so.
is stuff
Yeah.
unless you use it as means to become or be better or different.
Mm-hmm.
And in that
Yeah.
moment, you're not wearing stuff, you're not buying stuff, you are buying your
You're identifying
validation,
the
and you're
stuff,
being
yeah.
completely identified with the item.
Yeah.
So and that's the same reason why they say, well, a watch that costs $10 is the same as a $5,000. Yeah, but
It can be.
yeah, it can be. Yes, correct.
It's up to you.
But if you have more than $5,000 to use to buy a watch, why not? Who cares? Who cares?
Yeah.
The thing that really makes you weak is the whole shaming of yourself for doing things.
Oh yeah. The punishing. Oh, you're punishing yourself.
The punishing for wearing or buying things that are expensive, because the
Yeah.
moment that you just stop and you say that's expensive, that is a judgment.
That's.
And it doesn't
caught.
matter if you pay $2.
You're
'cause-
caught.
Yeah.
You're caught.
It doesn't matter if you pay $2 or $200. It's already expensive because you qualified it
Yeah.
as expensive,
Mhm.
and you're already shaming it. So things are things. If you spend
Mhm.
$200 on something that you don't need, then you look back and you're like, "Oh my God, I don't know why I spent $200." There's a shame, and you're gonna bring suffering to you, and
Yeah.
suffering is
That remorse, right.
overthinking. And you do not become that $200 item. You just become shame. And
Yeah.
you become shame because you were pursuing to be recognized as something that you are not.
Mhm.
So can you be a spiritual person, a peaceful person spending much money? First of all, you have to qualify what is spending too much money. And the moment that you
Yeah,
qualify
that's all
something that
mind
is too
stuff.
expensive, that's a mindset. That's a
It's all
mindset. And the moment that
mind,
you say
ego
this is
trap.
too expensive, it's already a
Yeah.
judgment. And
It's
what we're
just
trying to stay
traps.
away from is being judgmental.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what do? You just buy whatever you like.
Whatever
Done.
makes you happy. Exactly.
Well, not really make you happy. Nothing really makes you happy.
If it's pleasing in the moment, just go for it. Whatever.
And do not regret it.
Correct.